Hey guys, thanks for joining us today for a virtual meeting. We certainly wish that we were face to face and doing this in person like the good old days, but obviously, due to current situations, we're going to attempt this virtually today, so hopefully that's okay for you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jon Johnson. I work for online marketing. I've been here a little over 10 years. But I do have about 20 years or so of production, live, and integration experience in other industries. So, with that being said, we're going to jump right into our Park and Pray solution that we're going to be introducing for you today. So, obviously, this COVID-19 pandemic has created a lot of challenges for schools, hospitals, but today we're primarily going to focus on the house of worship market. Now, the need for social distancing is obviously immediate, but we just don't know how long it's going to last. Could last months, maybe even years, or permanently. So places of worship, as well as hospitals and other community centers, these are essential parts of our daily lives, right? People are looking for creative ways to gather and interact safely. So a drive-in style environment can provide an interesting compromise between social distancing and social gatherings. So we knew the solution had to be intuitive, it had to be easy to deploy, also had to be affordable, and we believe that we have that solution with our new Park and Pray system. And actually what you see on the screen there, guys, is a Park and Pray session at a hospital during a shift change to support healthcare workers. So these drive-in gatherings are happening organically, and now they're being planned by house of worship institutions, and they're likely to continue. So our concept today now is loosely based on the concept of sort of the drive-in movie theaters, if you've ever gone to one of those. Now, drive-in movie theaters almost exclusively operate by using FM modulators or FM broadcasts out to a parking lot. So in looking at a solution that was FM-based, the first thing that we learned is that really any sort of pop-up, unlicensed, high-power FM broadcast largely is illegal under Part 15 of FCC rules. So we didn't want to present you with a package that out of the gate technically is against the rules and could get people into a little bit of trouble. Also, there was ease of use. So by a show of virtual hands, who here in the last year has downloaded and used an app on a cell phone? Probably most of you. Now, who here in the last year has had to get in their car and sort of micro tune into, say, a specific radio frequency, 102.3? I'm not even sure I know how to do it at this point. So no one, that's not something people are comfortable doing, right? There's also a lot of variations in terms of sound quality. So depending on the orientation and the power of the modulator and the antenna, we really have no idea to test and know that the vehicles at certain parts of the parking lot are going to be getting good resolution audio. So these solutions, AM, FM modulators, they're also very one-dimensional. And once you're done using them, they basically become boat anchors, right? Once you're outside your car, how do you listen to an FM signal? Who here still owns an old handheld FM radio? Probably not very many people. So our goal here was simple. We wanted to create a high-resolution, easy-to-use Wi-Fi content delivery package over a large area. And in this example, we're talking about obviously a parking lot. So the goal here is to take a mix or a feed from inside the building, get it onto a network. From that network, I want to get it outside and broadcast that network to a large area via a high-power, weather-rated wireless access point. Then we fill the parking lot with cars, people attending the church. The attendees inside the vehicle will either have an Android or iOS, a tablet or cell phone, works for either. And from there, they download a free app and listen to a service and music or any other communication. So how do we, make this happen? How do we get this compromise between, large gatherings and maintaining social distance and get this information out? It's actually quite simple. So our Park and Pray solution basically starts inside the building with an existing sound system. We're going to take a feed, likely a matrix out, something that matches the feed that's being sent to your primary sound system. We're going to feed that analog signal into the Listen Everywhere server, either RCA or balanced Phoenix connection in the back there. From there, we're going to connect that to an existing network. That existing network is going to leave the building, go outside to an outdoor rated wireless access point that's being powered by PoE+. And again, the participants in the parking lot are going to utilize our free Listen Everywhere app to pull down not only high resolution audio, but some digital content that we'll show you later in our actual app demo. And mind you, this all comes in utilizing some existing gear at $14.49. So that's a great price point to get this thing started, assuming you're utilizing an existing sound system and a existing network rather. Now, if you don't have an existing network, the Listen Everywhere server will actually operate in standalone mode. And the way that this works is we eliminate the switch and we replace it with a PoE Plus injector. So the Listen Everywhere server can actually create and complete its own network. Now, obviously, we have to get power and that communication to the wireless access point. So that's where the injector comes into play. It is an item that's already screwed up in your system, so it's easy for your customers to add to the cart. So that's standalone mode, and we'll talk a little bit more later in the networking section about the difference in operation between those two modes. At the core of the system, sort of the brains of the operation, we have our Listen Everywhere 2-channel server. And when you say the word server, sometimes it can be intimidating to people, but don't let it be. Think of this as an audio to Wi-Fi adapter. It's incredibly easy to set up, very easy to manage, and for the end user, again with our free apps for Android and iOS, it's very easy to use. This little guy is very powerful as well. We can actually communicate up to 1,000 users. If you need more than 1,000 users, we can actually stack servers on top of each other. If you know Listen or used Listen in the past, you know that they pride themselves on great fidelity, good sound quality, and low latency. So this is not only good for speech, but great for music. And because we have low latency, we can actually use this as an effective assistive listening solution to supplement your current sound system. So basically, anywhere that you have Wi-Fi inside the building, we can now extend this signal and provide audio into lobbies, atriums, cry rooms, wherever you'd like to go. Staying inside the building, again, we mentioned that we'd like to hop onto an existing network infrastructure. Again, most churches already have this in place. If you are going to run standalone mode, again, we mentioned that you can provide a PoE Plus injector. Just to clear some terminology up, it stands for Power over Ethernet. Standard Power over Ethernet is around 15 watts. PoE Plus, Power over Ethernet Plus, is what we require, and that's around 30 watts or so. Again, we said that we're going to connect the Listen Everywhere server to the existing sound system. So again, this is all inside the building so far. Well, let's move outside the building. We're going to introduce today the Naveo NWA 220 outdoor wireless access point. Now, this thing is capable of 100 concurrent users, but don't be deceived by that. That doesn't mean 100 people. If you think of how this is going to work, this is going to broadcast to one device inside a vehicle. Well, inside that vehicle, you're probably going to have 2 to 5 people. So essentially, this WAP, we think, it can communicate to, up to 500 or 700 people, depending on how many people you have packed into the vehicles. If you want to exceed that 100 concurrent connections to get closer to the potential 1,000 users on the server, you use multiple WAPs. It's that easy. Now, this does have a coverage pattern, so you do need to pay attention to how it's mounted and the direction it is facing, and it's roughly 160 degrees dispersion. So right now, we're actually going to switch to our famous WAP cam. That's a real thing, by the way. And we'll take a look at the actual wireless access point itself. Now, as you can see, it's much larger than a traditional indoor wireless access point. It has this robust weatherproof shell, so it can withstand rain, ice, all the weather that you're going to find throughout the country here. So it's, again, very, very well built, very robust. And this is where we're really missing a professional production crew here. We'll give you a look at the bracket. It does mount on a standard 3-inch pole, so we're actually using this on a speaker stand right now. So if a house of worship situation wanted to take this thing up and down, very easy, throw it on a speaker stand and you're done. You'll notice there's the bracket actually has these sort of curves in them, and this allows us to get our down tilt, our down angle. And the assumption here, guys, is that we're on the side of a building high up, facing down towards the parking lot and the primary area. So again, this is the Naveo NWA 220 wireless outdoor access point. So to sort of summarize the physical pieces of our package, again, we're coming analog out of an existing sound system. We're going in analog to the Listen Everywhere server. We're strapping to an existing network. We're then leaving the building, going outside to a weather-rated wireless access point, and then the participants are going to listen to the audio and view the digital content via the free Listen Everywhere app. So we won't dive too deep into some of the network configurations, but just some high-level points to think about. Now, the advantage of strapping onto a existing network with Wi-Fi access is we get access to banners, announcements, PDFs, hyperlinks, all sorts of good digital content that we can customize and push out to the people in the parking lot. So that's a huge advantage that we have in not only providing high quality audio, but also distributing valuable information. And another huge advantage of it being on an existing network is that it does become an assisted listening system anywhere Wi-Fi coverage is present. Now, the one main advantage of standalone mode is it becomes portable. This thing can go out in the field. You do lose that content and sort of the graphics and banners and stuff that we'll show you here in a second, but it still makes a great portable system to take out in the field and broadcast to users without having to be in the building. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into network considerations, Listen actually custom wrote a guide specifically for outdoor applications with the Listen Everywhere server. It's written in very plain English, so someone with even moderate to elementary beginner IT skills is going to be able to navigate this and optimize its performance on an existing network. We also came up with this online marketing park and pray FAQ, and this is a brief document that consists of a lot of the questions that you probably would be asking right now if we were live in the meeting. So we'll make sure that you guys have access to both these documents. And again, it should clear up a lot of the questions that you might have, especially when it comes to network configurations. So some other important things to note: you have to use Cat5e or above cable. Quality cable is always a staple with any system. It is recommended on when you're attaching to existing networks that you do have quality of service, or WMM, which stands for Wi-Fi Multimedia turned on. And all that basically does is prioritizes our audio packets over other packets so that we don't have audio interruptions when a bunch of people start, YouTube streaming cat videos or whatever they might be doing. We also had a lot of questions about network consumption. Hey, do I need a really expensive advanced network switch and router to get this thing rolling? The answer is no. Now, all this math that I'm about to go over is in greater detail in the FAQ, but basically put, doing some simple math, if you have 100 users, that only comes to about 14 megabits per second. So 100 users only consumes about 2.3% of a gigabit switch's capacity. So you don't really need a really high-end robust switch to make this thing work. Another thing that we heard a lot about in the field is, okay, this is great. You have this cloud-based service to manage digital content. How much is it a month? How do I pay for this in terms of our budget? Well, we're happy to announce that there are no recurring fees. Once the customer purchases the server, they own the licensing for the digital content. There's no recurring fees, period. So once they buy it, they own it. And again, if the venue has even a moderately technical staff member, they can be trained to modify the app as frequently as they'd like. So let's take a look inside the app. One of our first concerns was, the skill set of our target market. Who's actually using smartphones? And the answer is pretty much everybody. According to the most recent Pew Research poll, 83% of Americans that live in an urban or suburban area own a smartphone. So our target market, they already have the devices in their hands to make this thing work. So that's a huge advantage for us. Upon hopping onto the iOS or Android app stores, this is what you're going to see. It's very easy to find, very easy to download, and obviously it's free. It's also backwards compatible, and this is a neat part of this app that doesn't get enough attention, I don't think. So for Android, we can actually work all the way back to Android 4.0, and that's circa 2011. And it works back all the way to iOS 7.0, and that was launched in 2013. Point being, you don't need a brand new, really expensive phone to make this work. Older phones should work just fine. With that, we're going to actually show you the app and do a quick app demo for you so you can see what it looks like and how it operates. Okay, guys, so I have jumped over to a screen grab via GoToMeeting from my iPad, and obviously any device that's we're going to use the app with obviously has to be on the Listen Everywhere network, same network, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the Listen Everywhere app. What we have here is a quick banner bar. Now we can skip through that or get rid of the banner altogether. Once we're in the app, we obviously have the ability to change the orientation, so you'll see it flip and flip back. At the top, we have a really cool banner bar that's going to scroll through those images, and timing of the scroll can be modified or deleted altogether if you'd like. The core of the app, however, is right below. You're going to see three main tabs. The first tab with the speaker is the Channels tab. Now, this is a two-channel server. For this example, we only have one channel populated. So if you had a second channel of maybe language interpretation, that would be listed here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure my volume's up, and I'm going to go ahead and activate OTU radio.
He believed in himself, even if the skeptics and the doubters were legion. He had long.
Great. So for this example, we're just piping a podcast through just to get some audio. So that's the Channels tab. So I'll go ahead and flip to the middle tab, which is our Information tab. Here we can put pretty much any Word document, Excel sheet, PDF, anything to get information out, and a variety of options here. So for example, we've listed a schedule of events. We'll back out. With Park and Pray, we're probably not passing around hymnals, so let's go ahead and load those in. And again, because this is so easy to customize, these can change daily. Can also distribute some really important information, nearby food pantries or support for your participants. So that's the middle Information tab. The last tab is an Offers tab. Now, this is where we can drive people to basically places outside of the app, so we could actually launch to the church website if we wanted to. And since the days, I think, of passing the donation plate around to a few hundred or 1,000 people might be coming to an end, and more churches are utilizing mobile or cloud-based donation services, what we can actually do is link directly to those services from the app. So you're actually taking people out of the app to the donation site. Again, it's not part of the app, but it makes it easy for people to navigate. So that's a very quick look at the app. Again, very easy to customize. Now, if I click the top left corner here in the menu and hit support, if your customers would like to see an offline virtual demo, in the middle there, you can navigate them to the enable demo mode. And that's a very brief run through of the Listen Everywhere app. So to sort of wrap this up, I think our Park and Pray solution is a great value for a lot of different reasons. It's very easy to set up, very simple to manage, and from an end user point of view, it doesn't require much of a skill set. It's utilizing a lot of pieces parts that are already in place in the venues, including the sound system and the network infrastructure. Again, Listen prides itself on low latency, high fidelity, so we're really trying to make sure that if someone wants to broadcast an entire band mix out in a Park and Pray scenario, that there's not going to be any issues with that. We have no recurring costs or fees, so once the customer buys it, they own it, and they're able to update it as much as they like. And again, long-term from an investment point of view, utilizing this thing only indoors, anywhere that you have Wi-Fi, you've now just purchased as an assistive listening device. So this thing can be used long term. So with that, I'd like to wrap things up. Thank you very much for your time today. Again, we hope to get back in the building soon with you guys, and we wish you the best of health for you, your friends, and your family. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time.